Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Roberts. Welcome to the April 30th edition of Effective, Efficient, Affordable, and above all, accountable to you. The show that asks just how many untruths are going to be visited upon you in this fraudulent attempt to get you to support the budget this time around. I'm joined again this evening by John Gallagher. John, welcome and good evening.
Thank you, James.
Tonight is the last show before the town meeting for the budget. The budget has been available to you for some period of time now. You will be able to go to the town meeting to voice your opinions. We urge you to do so. We will obviously not be saying anything supportive of this budget proposal. We think it does not deserve your support. We think it does not work. We think it is, in short, fraudulent. But we will come onto that later in the program. As we suggested up top, you have been given a whole series of untruths, misleading comments, misleading detail. There has been an attempt to snow you into thinking that this is the best that you can have. We'll cover some of the untruths that we've talked about before. We'll cover a couple of new ones, some of them so brazen that even I am a little bit surprised. The first that we'll tackle is, in the scheme of things, probably you would say a detail, but we think it's richly symptomatic of the whole approach that has underlaid this process, and it relates to water and sewer.
Right. And, you know, water and sewer has been struggling now all winter. And we spoke a little bit about it last week. There is approximately $1 million of revenue in the budget coming from water and sewer to balance this budget. And for the life of me, reading what they're going through their budgeting this year, their budgeting numbers are down $1 million. But when you look at what has transpired with the rate increase, the rate increase from 2010 forward has been tremendous. The fixed costs for water are up $40. And the fixed cost for sewer has gone from $160 to $200, also $40, 25%. The second part of the rate structure is the variable cost, and that's what you pay in terms of a 100 cubic feet of water, and 100 cubic feet is 7.48 gallons. The increase, the variable rate increase for water has gone from $2.47 per 100 cubic feet to $3.626 per 100 cubic feet, roughly a 47% increase. Sewer has gone from $2.02 per 100 cubic feet, and for sewer they read the same water meter. Right. And they just use the number. They're making the assumption that what goes in comes out. And the sewer is going from $2.02 to $3.302 per 100 cubic feet, or a 63.5% increase. So when looking at the fixed rate increases and the variable rate increases, we took a 5/8 inch hookup to a house in the old town. We calculated the old rate at the old fixed rate, and then the new rate with the new fixed charges and the new variable charges. And for water, we took 2,000 cubic feet per quarter, or every 3 months. You know, the old rate is $118.40, and the new rate is $151.52, so there's a 28% increase. We took the same setup for sewer rates, 5/8 inch pipe attached to the house. The old rate for 2,000 cubic feet coming out of your house is $80.40. The new rate is $119.40, almost a 50% increase.
And the reason we're focusing on this is twofold. Number one, obviously, these are big increases, and we have been making the argument consistently that increases of these sorts will chase customers away, will actually end up probably reducing water and sewers revenues, and will undermine their ability to fulfill their obligations pursuant to this budget, which is to contribute $1 million to the town coffers. We just don't see that happening. But we also highlight it for a very different reason, which is you have been told over the last month or so that water and sewer has never seen a rate increase in the last 11 years, and that now finally you're getting the fruit of that, a 20% increase on water and a 35% on sewer. And what really gets my goat, ladies and gentlemen, is once again they've fudged the numbers. The fact of the matter is that the rates have been going up.
The fixed rates have been
during the
going up
past.
since 2010.
And the way you see that is if you take a 2-year view rather than a 1-year view, the increases are not 20 and 35%, but close to 30 and 50%. And what's so mysterious, what's so baffling to me, they'd already taken the pain of saying we're raising your rates 20 and 35%. Why not be honest? Why not tell you that the real numbers are actually 30 and 50?
Yeah.
And the simple reason is they're playing games. These are the untruths which you are being told to try to get you to support the budget. They couldn't hide from the 20 and 35, but they found a way of hiding from the 30 and the 50, and that's just not right.
And you know, this is for, I'll call an average household, 3, maybe 4 people. I mean, our household, you know, is in this ballpark. But if you're a user that uses more than average, I mean, you know, you're being hit very hard by the variable rate increase in sewer, which is almost 64%.
Right.
I mean, that starts to weigh in much more heavily
On a big volume user.
on a big volume unit, and you're seeing the same thing, almost a 47% increase in water, because once again, big volume on the variable rate is what's going to kick in and drive it.
So once again, we started with water and sewer for 2 reasons. Number one, we are concerned that a budget that is predicated upon $1 million of revenue from water and sewer simply isn't going to happen. And number two, we are concerned that once again, games are being played. You know, it's one thing for you to vote for a large tax increase if that's what you wish to do. But you should do that knowing all of the facts, not having the facts spun to you in a way that is frankly and utterly misleading.
Yeah, I mean, when you say you haven't raised taxes in 11 years, you have.
Right. And we'll leave that matter there. As we said at the outset of this program, Monday is your budget meeting. You will have the opportunity to amend the budget to reduce it or to send it on to referendum. This is not a budget that we support in any shape, manner, or form. We view this as a fraudulent budget. We have described in the past why we dislike this budget so much. Let us review once again what this budget is doing and why it is not an acceptable budget, why this budget is a non-starter in our view. Simply put, the first thing to note about the budget is it has a huge tax increase. And it's not just the water and sewer, it's not just the 20% and the 35%, which are actually closer to 30 and 50, but your mill rate is going up 23%.
And that's due to the reval, to the property valuations, especially in the old town, being propped up because of the way the reval was conducted. All the houses that were foreclosed, all the houses that were repossessed, all the houses that were abandoned, you know, unless you have an arm's length transaction, they didn't count it. In my case, in my neighborhood, there wasn't a house. I pulled all the arm's length transactions. There wasn't a house that sold above $111,000. My property is valued, you know, upwards $130,000, $140,000.
And what that means, put simply, is that by artificially keeping values downtown high, people downtown are facing punitive tax rates. It's as simple as that. It's as if when you pay your federal taxes, if you earn $50,000, the feds tell you, no, you actually earn $75,000. So that's what we'd like you to pay your taxes on.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
They artificially inflated the values downtown to stop the catastrophe from becoming evident to you. And that results in you paying too much taxes if you live downtown. But they're telling you with the voodoo math and the whole detail thing that this is not really the case, that really people were paying the same. Well, let's just go through this whole tax thing once and once for all. The way you pay your taxes is that you pay a rate, the tax rate set by the legislature, which is applied to whatever's being measured, either your income or your property. In the case of Winsett, obviously, it is your property. Now, if your property goes up in value, you got richer. If your property goes down in value, you got poorer. Neither impact your taxes. Your taxes are only impacted by your tax rate going up, in which case your taxes went up, or your tax rates going down, in which case your taxes went down. The fact that your property declined in value simply means you got poorer. You should be paying less tax, not the same tax or more tax. When they increase the mill rate, they increase taxes. It's that simple. And a 22% or a 23% increase in the mill rate is as big an increase in taxes as we have ever seen in
Period.
this town. I mean, you got to get that simple fact, ladies and gentlemen. Stop having people tell you it's flat, it's similar, it's a little more, it's a little less. It's plus 23%.
Because
It's
the
epic.
value of your property has declined, and it has been artificially inflated through the reval process, and the powers to be want to pull the same revenue out of a property that is worth less.
So that's the first thing to note about the budget, and the first reason we don't like the budget. The second thing to note about the budget is, what does it actually do? It does the same thing that we do in the current year. There's no change to the way the services are constructed and the way the services are delivered.
And one of the utter, ridiculous things is we have been listening and reading in the paper about the fraud that has occurred in Town Hall, or potential fraud. And we are still projected to use the same system, the same software, the same structure. And who in the right mind would have confidence in doing anything the same way? 3 years ago, the town voted to consolidate the systems. You have to be put on one common financial system. You have to upgrade the hardware, you have to upgrade the software, and you have to have one person running the system, and it has to be transparent, and you have to perform audits.
Those are the simple building blocks that every town must employ to make sure that its money is being spent wisely, and to make sure that it has the trust of its citizens, to make sure that the citizens understand where the money is going and are comfortable ponying up their taxes. This budget is simply doing more of the same, making the same structural mistakes that we have made for many years now in terms of the way we staff our services, the way we construct our services, and the fact that we have built a people-centric, benefit-centric cost base to the way we provide services. It just
Instead of a
doesn't work.
service-based cost structure that provides service, the service you need and want, and you're willing to pay for.
And you can ask yourself, okay, maybe you think this works. Maybe you're okay with the potholes in the roads because you think that's going to slow down traffic. Maybe you're okay with your schools being ranked at the bottom 30% of the state because you think that now allows plenty of room for improvement.
While paying within the top the top 30 towns in the state.
I mean, maybe that's okay for you. And it's a free country, ladies and gentlemen. We're not telling you you cannot vote to keep the same services provided the same way with the same inefficiencies. We don't think it's a particularly great idea. As taxpayers, we'd rather our tax dollars were used more efficiently. But you can vote for that. But you gotta pay for it, ladies and gentlemen. The one tangible thing that delivering services this way, the one tangible thing that the budget this year, this current year, has produced for the town of Winsted is a bigger deficit. This is the thing, the second thing that you need to get your minds around. Last year, the deficit was $1.2 million. We know this from the schools. The town manager has not disputed it. This year, the town manager is telling us that the end-of-year deficit will be 3.2. So during the course of this year, operations this year, we have increased our deficit from $1.2 million to $3.2 million. If you think that potholes wasn't such a great outcome for the way we run Department of Public Works, if you think bottom 30% of schools wasn't such a great outcome for the way we run education, if there's something you don't like about Town Hall, at least you can say, we created a deficit. We built something.
It's built right into the budget.
But the trouble is, ladies and gentlemen, deficits are not good. And because the proposed budget changes nothing, all we're doing is perpetuating the deficit. We've not seen in this budget any grand plan to reorganize services that is going to eliminate that $2 million of cost overrun.
That's it.
It's not there. Common sense would indicate that if you've just grown the deficit by $2 million and you're putting together a package for next year, that you would try to change something so that next year you don't grow it by another $2 million.
And the way you see the deficit, the ordinary person sees the deficit outside of us that actually look and try to poke at it is, you see people not getting paid. I mean, you're looking at agencies that haven't been paid. You're looking at the episode that we went through in the fall where the Gilbert School wasn't paid.
Right.
So what happens is the town just doesn't pay.
Yeah, everything grinds to a halt.
And the deficit builds, and you watch as we go forward. The things that aren't paid are going to get bigger, and maybe one of those things that's not going to get paid is the contribution to the retirement plan.
Right.
That's always the one that everybody hits because, hey, it doesn't affect anybody that's working now. We'll worry about it later. We just won't make the payment this year. But what happens is, with nobody coming in, with people leaving the area, your ability to collect taxes or the ability for the grand list to grow shrinks. And believe me, everybody that's on a retirement plan in Winsted and even at the state level with the Board of Education is at risk to have their retirements substantially reduced.
Right. And for those of you who are skeptical, for those of you who say, well, this year, okay, you're telling us that the town manager acknowledges the deficit has grown from 1.2 to 3.2. We don't think that's going to happen next year. We would suggest that is perhaps an unduly rosy tinted view. We expanded our deficit because we are spending more on our services than we are bringing in. We have not reorganized our services in this new budget, therefore we should assume we will run up exactly the same additional $2 million of deficit. In addition to that, there are obvious problems with both the revenue and the expense side of this budget that we've highlighted before.
Yeah.
You have the insurance problem.
Insurance. I mean, you have a component built into the revenue structure for this budget that says you're going to get an insurance payment from an item that might not be resolved for years, as far as we know. I mean, right. I read the article in the newspaper where the I guess it's Captain Paul Vance commented on how the state police was handling it, and he said that they hire accountants to go in and do it, but it's a long and arduous task, and when it's finished, it'll be finished.
Right. And that's not the only problem. We also have, as we started off, the water and sewer problem. We are assuming a revenue inflow of $1 million from water and sewer to support town operations. It doesn't look, from everything we're seeing at water and sewer, that is a very likely outcome. So this current year, we grew our deficit from 1.2 to 3.2 without assuming we were getting $600,000 worth of insurance proceeds, without assuming we were getting $1 million of water and sewer proceeds.
And there's another revenue in there that is declining as we sit here, and that is the state amount of money coming to the town. The latest report, I believe it was the 23rd of April.
This was a CCM, the
CCM,
Connecticut Municipalities Lobbying Group, which is responsible for putting out intelligence pieces as to what is being suggested by both the governor and the legislature for the future of municipal finance.
Yes, right here. We'll go to Winchester. Keep talking. It's going to be a minute before I find it. It's not in a.
Baked into the proposed budget, you will see, excluding the Main Street shrubbery project, you will see the assumption that we will be getting almost $300,000 additional money from Hartford. That's baked into the budget that you are looking at. CCM put out that piece which showed you both what the governor is suggesting Hartford will pay Winsted this year, and what the legislative committees are suggesting they will pay Winsted this year. And those two numbers are very, very different from plus 300.
And if I was good, I would find it. I was going to highlight it, and then I walked out the door, I didn't highlight it.
From memory, the governor is suggesting that he will cut Winstead's funding by something like $250,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
258, I believe, is the precise number. The Financial Affairs Committee of the legislature has said that's not enough. We expect to cut Winstead by close to $500,000.
Yes, that was $500,000.
So we have on the one hand a budget that says we're going to get $300,000 more from the state, and that's not counting the $600,000 we're getting for the Main Street Improvement Project. And we have a governor telling us, no, we're going to pay you $250 less, and the legislature saying, you're on drugs, Mr. Governor, we're actually going to pay you $500,000 less. That's a $750,000 swing right there. And the purpose of going through all these numbers is, once again, to try and tell the skeptics out there, the people who say, okay, so we had a deficit this year, but we're not going to have a deficit next year because we've learned from our mistakes. No, we haven't. We are conducting our operations, our services, in the same way as we did this year. That should be good enough for a $2 million deficit. We have on top $500,000 of bogus revenues from insurance. We have on top what may be all of $1 million faulty revenue assumption coming out of water and sewer. And we have potentially a $750,000 variance in what we're getting from Hartford. We could actually double the deficit next year based on this budget.
Right. Yeah, you were right. The governor proposed reduction was $257,323, and the Appropriations Committee reduction is $498,249, and that's as of 23rd of April.
And those are reductions. Our budget says we're actually getting 300 more.
So
anyone who thinks we're not going to grow the deficit next year based on this budget, you have to listen to the facts. You don't have to like them. You don't have to like us. But you got to at least listen to the facts.
The state is telling you that you're not going up, you're going down, and whether it's $250,000 down or $500,000 down is going to be hammered out, in the next couple of weeks before they leave session, and you're going to be stuck with it.
So what we've been telling you for weeks, and what we're going to continue to tell you, is that your budget needs first to actually pay for the deficit, because we will actually open up that shoebox full of bills and pay those bills.
Yeah,
we have no choice.
just as soon as July 1st comes around and revenues start coming in and you start building a cash balance again, boom, you start paying bills.
Secondly, we do have to revisit the services we provide and how we provide them to make them as efficient as possible. We keep getting told that this is not possible, that no town has ever done it, that it's just not doable. Towns all over are doing it. Towns are merging their school districts. Towns are privatizing big chunks of their town services. Towns are saving money. Towns are moving to part-time employees, hard as that may be on the employees themselves, because that will relieve them of the burden of benefit costs. Other towns are doing this, and to be efficient, Winstead will have to do it too.
Yes, and if you don't do it, the thing that is going to happen is the deficit is going to swell and grow so large that you'll collapse. And as I said, what's at risk is your retirement, your health care benefits, and if you don't right-size the ship now, and part of that right-sizing is restructuring benefit packages, restructuring how work rules and how you go about doing work, whether it be shift levels or how many hours you pay when somebody is pulled in for overtime. That stuff is big stuff, and you can look at it by all the overtime that is being generated. You can look at it by just the end of the year, the transfers are made to cover up mistakes and mismanagement of the year in progress. And if you don't take care of that, it'll explode. I mean, you will be run by somebody from the outside.
And the last thing your budget needs to do is fix downtown. We need to reverse the cycle of dereliction downtown and begin to grow our tax base. So you have a choice, ladies and gentlemen. You can continue to do the same thing as we have done before, but you actually have to pay for it if that's what you want to do. And that's going to be expensive.
Pay for it is over 40 mils.
Right. That's the 30, instead of the 31 mils that you're being told this budget will cost you, This budget properly costed, paying for the deficit, will cost you over 40 mils. And that's your choice. If you want a 60% increase in your taxes, you're perfectly at liberty to vote for that. But you need to understand what it is you're voting for.
And your property values will collapse further because the costs of water and sewer, the costs of taxes on these properties downtown will put these properties that are already underwater, that are Section 8 housing, it'll put them out of business.
And with that as the context, which is properly costing this budget, the services that you currently get at over 40 mils, we want to touch upon the biggest untruth that is kind of floating around out there, which is that you have no choice. You are being told that it's this budget or no budget, that the consequences of turning this budget down are so dire for the town that you cannot turn it down. Well, we have news for you, ladies and gentlemen. The consequences of okaying this budget is a guaranteed bankruptcy. We have a $4 million deficit. We've shown you how that will grow to probably a $6 or an $8 million deficit. That equals bankruptcy. And as hard as the decisions we would make to restructure the town will be, they will be as nothing compared to the decisions a bankruptcy judge will make. A bankruptcy judge doesn't care about his neighbor in town who works for the town. He doesn't care that his neighbor will lose his pension, his benefits, his job overnight. A bankruptcy judge has never driven our roads unplowed in the winter. He doesn't care. A bankruptcy judge doesn't care we will not repair our schools for 40 years. He doesn't care. A bankruptcy judge has a job to balance the books immediately, and that's what the bankruptcy judge will do. You are being told that this budget is the best of a bad choice because the alternative is too destructive of the town. We are telling you that this budget is the worst possible choice. This budget supersizes our services, guarantees a bankruptcy, which will be absolute carnage for the employees here in town and will create the most difficult situation for the residents. If you're looking to sell a home, good luck in bankruptcy. Good luck with the sorts of tax rises you will see in bankruptcy. Good luck with the massive curtailment of services you will see in bankruptcy. Good luck with the daily litany of articles in the press about the bankruptcy and all of the consequences of the bankruptcy. These are the nature of the choices you face, ladies and gentlemen. We're not trying to scare you here. We're simply trying to paint a picture that has very successfully been obscured by the other side, by those who are telling you to vote yes. This budget does not fix the deficit. It grows the deficit. This budget does not fix the cost of our services. It supersizes the costs of our services. This budget does not reverse the war on downtown. It perpetuates it. And this budget does not save you from hard, punitive decisions about the way your town is run. It guarantees the harshest, most punitive decisions will be made about how your town is run by a guy in a black robe in a courtroom somewhere whose only concern with Winstead is balancing the books as quickly as possible and getting the case off his docket.
Let's leave it there. We're going to meet this Monday, May 6th, at the Gilbert School for the annual budget meeting, which will be automatically adjourned to a referendum. We will set the referendum date, but the charter requires that the budget be adjourned to referendum, so we don't have a choice on that. And we will see you there, and we'll have this discussion continued.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck.
Thank you.